Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Sofie Syahila rambe with registration number 2314050022. So in this video, I'm going to explain about my mind map that I did before. And the first mind map is about components of curriculum based in aims, goals, and objectives. So the first is about aims. So aims is broad general statement of what education seeks to achieve in the long term, and purpose of aims itself to provide overall direction and purpose of education. For example, to develop responsible, informed, and active citizens. And the second, there is about goals. Goals, it means general statements derived from the aims that describe more specific learning intentions. And purpose of goals itself to translate aims into more concerned intention within a particular discipline or level of education. For example, students will understand the fundamental principles of democracy. And then there is objectives. Objectives is specific measurable outcomes that learners are expected to achieve. And the purpose is guide lesson planning, teaching methods, and assessment. In objective, there is three types. The first type is cognitive, that about knowledge based, and the second, there is affective, is about attitude based, and the last one is psychomotor or skill based. For example of objective is, by the end of the lesson, students will be able to list 3 branches of government and describe their function. So after we know what is aims, goals, and objective, we can know if them have a relationship. In short, we can say if aims is set the vision, and goals is interpret aims into field of study, and whereas objective is operationalize goals into classroom or level outcomes. I think that's all about components of curriculum based in aims, goals, and objective. And then we can move to the second material, is about components of curriculum based assessment, evaluation, and test. So in curriculum based assessment is the process of collecting information about student learning, and assessment have 2 types. The first type is formative assessment, and the second type is summative assessment. So formative assessment is ongoing, used to monitor learning and give feedback. For example of formative assessment is quizzes or class discussion. And then there is summative assessment that is conducted at the end of until or course to evaluate overall achievement. For example, final exam or making project, something like that. And purpose of assessment itself to guide instruction, identify strength and weakness, and also support learning and improvement. And then there is curriculum based evaluation. So evaluation in curriculum, a broader process that involves interpreting assessment data to make judgments about the effectiveness of curriculum, teaching and learning. And also evaluation have types too. The first type is student evaluation and program evaluation. So in evaluation just have two types, but assessment have also two types too. So the first type is student evaluation, that is analyzing student performance, and the second type is program evaluation, is determining if curriculum goals and objectives are being met. And purpose of evaluation itself, it improve teaching strategies, modify curriculum design, and support accountability. The last is curriculum-based test. So, what is test? Test is a tool or instrument used to measure specific knowledge or skills of our students. And tests also have types, and also just two types, same like assessment and evaluation. The first types is standardized tests. It's something like uniform, often used for large or scale comparisons. And the second type is teacher-made tests, something like the test is designed by educators to assess specific learning outcomes. And the purpose of tests is provide data for assessment and evaluation before, and then certify achievement, inform instructional decisions. Yes, that's all about components of curriculum-based assessment, evaluation, and test. After this, we can move, or we can continue to the next materials, is about components of curriculum based on teaching materials. So the first thing about components of curriculum based on teaching materials is about learning objectives or goals. So this define what students are expected to learn. In a curriculum based on teaching materials, the materials are selected to help achieve these objectives, such as improving vocabulary, grammar, communication skills, or critical thinking in English. And the second component, there is teaching materials and resources. So these are the tools used to deliver content, such as textbooks, audio and video resources, digital platforms, real-life materials, example managed brochures. They form the foundation around which the lessons are structured. And then the third things, there is about learning activity. So in learning activities like group discussions, role plays, writing exercises, and listening tasks are planned based on the selected materials. This promotes active learning and language use. After a learning activity, there is about assessment and evaluation. So, this refers to how students' progress is measured. In a teaching materials-based curriculum, tasks, quizzes, performance tasks, or portfolio assessments are often included within or adapted from the teaching materials. And after assessment and evaluation, there is integration with other subjects. What's that means? This means connecting English learning to other subjects like science, history, or math. For example, reading comprehension activities may include texts from those subjects. And then there is about time allocation. What is that? Okay, time allocation is planning how much time is spent on each unit or activity based on the materials. Materials help pace the curriculum across a term or academic year. And the seventh, there is teaching strategies. In teaching strategies is methods used by teachers to deliver the content from the materials, such as communicative language teaching, text-based learning, grammar translation method, and its friends. These are chosen based on the type of materials and student needs. So it's depend student needs. And then there is differentiation or adaptation. Adapting materials to suit different learning levels, styles, or special needs. For example, simplifying text, adding visuals, or giving extra exercises for advanced learners. And then there is content the actual. Subject matter or language skills included in the curriculum, grammar, vocabulary, reading text, writing prompts, etc. Materials shape what content is emphasized. After we explain about teaching, about differentiation and adaptation is the last materials of components of curriculum based on teaching materials. So many components, right guys, in teaching materials, like as we talked before, there is start from learning objectives or goals, and then teaching materials and resources, learning activity, assessment and evaluation, integration with other subjects, time allocation, differentiation, adaptation, teaching strategies, and the teaching materials. And after component of curriculum based on teaching materials, we can move to components of curriculum based in teaching process. Okay, components of curriculum based in teaching process. The first thing, there is learning objectives. These are the specific skills or knowledge students should gain by the end of a lesson or course. They guide the entire teaching process and help in choosing the right methods, materials, and assessment. After learning objectives, there is lesson planning. So, lesson planning involves preparing how each class will be conducted. It, in, it includes selecting the topic, setting objectives, choosing activities, and organizing materials. It ensures lessons are structured, effective, and aligned with curriculum goals. After that, there is classroom management, refers to strategies used to maintain a productive, respectful, and focused learning environment. Good classroom management supports effective teaching and helps avoid disruptions. After classroom management, there is teacher-student interaction. So, what's that mean, teacher-student interaction? It means the communication and a relationship between teacher and learners. Positive interaction fosters motivation, participation, and better learning outcomes. It includes questioning techniques, encouragement, and collaborative dialogue. Intinya, teacher-student have communicate each other. And then there is assessment techniques. That means methods used to evaluate student learning, such as quizzes, oral tests, observations, or projects. They provide insight into students' progress and help teacher adjust instruction. And then there is about reflection and evaluation. That means teachers reflect on their own teaching to identify what worked well and what could be improved. Evaluation includes reviewing student outcomes and lesson effectiveness to enhance future teaching. And then there is feedback and reinforcement. So feedback is the information that given to students about their performance. So reinforcement involves encouraging positive behavior or correct answers to strengthen learning. So both help guide and motivate students. And then there is about instructional media and tools. So the tools such as visual like pictures and charts, an example of audio like recordings, and digital tools like PowerPoint and apps, and they enhance learning by making lessons more engaging and more understandable. And then there is teaching methods. So teaching methods something like approaches or techniques that used to deliver lesson that we have explained before. Teaching methods, there is something like test-based learning, and teacher choose methods based on objectives, student needs, and lesson content. And yeah, that's all about components of curriculum based in teaching process. So after we explain about ELT curriculum based on aims, goals, and objectives. And then there is about components of curriculum based assessment, evaluation, and tests. And then components of curriculum based on teaching materials and based in teaching process. We move to the last materials is about analysis of ELT curriculum, the content-based instruction. So what is content-based instruction or CBI? So CBI is an approach where English is taught through subject content. For example, science, history, and math or something like that. The focus is on using English as a medium to learn meaningful content rather than just studying the language itself. Language learning happens something like naturally while students engage with academic or real world topics. The key feature of CBI in ELT curriculum, the first is dual focus. The content there is about content learning. It means students gain knowledge about a subject area. And then language learning, students develop vocabulary, grammar, and communication skills. And the second key is authentic materials, uses real-life resources like news articles, videos, and textbooks from other disciplines. The third key is integration of skills. Reading, writing, speaking, and listening are all practiced together in meaningful context. The fourth is thematic units. Lessons are organized around themes. For example, environment, health, and technology, rather than grammar topics. The fifth, there is student-centered learning and encourage critical thinking, problem solving, and active participation. After the key of CBI, there are benefits of CBI in LT curriculum. The first is increases motivation by connecting language learning to a student's interests or academic goals, and then promotes deeper understanding and retention through meaningful content. After that, helps develop academic language skills, useful for students in bilingual or international settings, and then encourages communication in real world context, improving fluency and confidence. So, and there is also challenges of CBI itself. The first challenge is requires careful material selection to match students' language level. Teachers need to be skilled in both language teaching and content instruction, and then may be difficult for beginners with limited vocabulary. And implementation in curriculum design, learning objectives must combine content goals like understand the water cycle, and language goals like um, something like describe a process. And then assessment should evaluate both subject understanding and language proficiency, requires collaboration between language teachers and subject teachers in some settings. So that's my explain about analysis of ELT curriculum, content based instruction, and it can be the last material. So I think enough for my present in this video. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.